The rescue. The stars looked beautiful through the viewport, but Captain David Torres knew he was staring at his tomb. The Star Wanderer hung dead in space, its engines cold and silent. Warning lights painted the bridge in shades of red and amber, creating shadows that danced across the faces of his four-person crew. Life support at 15%, Lieutenant Rebecca Walsh said from her station. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook as she worked the controls. We have maybe 8 hours left. Probably less. Torres leaned back in his command chair and closed his eyes. 8 hours. 8 hours until the oxygen ran out and they all suffocated in the dark. He thought about his daughter Emma back on Earth. She was only 7 years old. He had promised to come home and teach her how to navigate by the stars. Now she would grow up without him. Keep broadcasting the distress signal, Torres ordered. Someone might hear us. Captain, we're 3 weeks from the nearest trade route, said Chin, the navigator. His young face looked even younger in the dim light. Nobody travels through this sector. Nobody even knows we're here. It was true. The Star Wanderer was a small exploration vessel, sent to map uncharted regions of space. They had been documenting a promising star system when their reactor suffered a cascade failure. One moment they were recording data, the next moment their ship was dying around them. Torres opened his eyes and looked at his crew. Walsh at communications, Chen at navigation, Dr. Sarah Martinez in the corner monitoring their vital signs, and young Ensign James Park trying desperately to repair systems that were beyond saving. For people who trusted him. For people he was going to fail. I'm sorry, Torres said quietly. I got you into this. I pushed for this mission. I wanted to explore further than anyone else. My ambition is going to kill you all. Stop that, Martinez said firmly. She was the oldest among them, nearly 60, and she had no patience for self-pity. We all volunteered for this mission. We all knew the risks. Nobody blames you, Captain. Park looked up from his repair work, his face smudged with grease. She's right, sir. We're explorers. This is what we signed up for. At least we'll die doing what we love. Torres felt something twist in his chest. They were so young. Walsh was 28. Chin was 30. Park had just turned 25. Only Martinez had lived a full life. The rest of them deserved decades they would never see. Hours crawled by. The temperature dropped as the ship's systems failed one by one. The crew pulled on emergency thermal suits, but even those wouldn't save them. They were just delaying the inevitable. Torres was writing a final message to his daughter when Walsh suddenly sat up straight. Captain, I'm reading something on sensors. A ship. It's not human design. Torres's heart jumped. Can you identify it? No, sir. The design doesn't match anything in our database. It's approaching us. Fast. Fear and hope warred in Torres's chest. Humanity had encountered several alien species during its expansion into space. Most were peaceful. Some were not. But what choice did they have? The alien vessel was unlike anything Torres had ever seen. It looked organic, like a massive flower with petals made of metal and light. It was graceful and strange, moving through space with an elegance that human ships could never match. A voice came through their communication system. The translation software struggled for a moment, then produced words they could understand. Human vessel, this is the Zephron ship Harmony's Light. We detect that your ship is failing. Do you require assistance? Yes, Torres said, and his voice broke. God, yes. We have 5 crew. Life support is failing. We won't last much longer. There was a pause. Then the voice spoke again, and Torres could hear something like sadness in it. Captain, I must tell you something. My people have laws against interfering with other species. We are not supposed to help you. The consequences for me and my crew will be severe. Torres felt hope dying in his chest. I understand, he said. Thank you for stopping. Thank you for at least letting us know someone found us. I was not finished, the voice said, and now there was something else in it. Determination. My crew and I have discussed this. We have voted. We cannot leave sentient beings to die when we have the power to save them. We will face whatever punishment comes. Prepare for docking. Tears ran down Torres's face. Thank you. Thank you so much. The Zephrons were beautiful. They looked like tall, slender humanoids, but their skin shimmered with colors that changed based on their emotions. Their eyes were large and silver, reflecting light like mirrors. They had no hair, but delicate patterns covered their heads like living tattoos. Captain Velnath stood in the Star Wanderer's docking bay and watched as his medical team carried the sick humans aboard his ship. Your species is very fragile, he said to Torres. The radiation from your failing reactor was poisoning you. A few more hours and you would have been beyond saving. Why are you doing this? Torres asked. You said it was against your laws. Velnatha's colors shifted to something warm and golden. Because laws should serve life, not the other way around. My crew believes this. We will face demotion, perhaps imprisonment. But we will face it knowing we chose correctly. The Zephron saved all 5 humans. They treated the radiation poisoning, provided food and clean water, and repaired the Star Wanderer enough to make it home. It took 3 weeks and the Zephron stayed with them the entire time. On the final day, Torres stood with Velnath in the docking bay. The human captain pulled out his personal recording device. I need you to understand something about my species, Torres said. We remember. When someone shows us kindness, we don't forget it. When someone saves our lives, we owe them a debt. He activated the recorder and spoke clearly. I am Captain David Torres of the Terran Exploration Fleet. Today, Captain Velnath and the crew of the Zephron ship Harmony's Light saved 5 human lives. They risked everything to help strangers. Humanity will remember this. If the Zephron people ever need help, any help at all, they need only ask. This is my promise and I will make sure my people honor it. He gave the recording to Velnath. Keep this. If your people ever face danger, send this to humanity. We will come. No matter how far. No matter the cost. We will come. Velnath took the device carefully. He didn't fully understand. The Zephrons were peaceful and solitary. They didn't think in terms of death spanning decades. But he could see that Torres meant every word. I hope we never need to use this, Velnath said. But I will keep it safe. Torres returned to Earth. He filed his report, and it was marked as highly important in the historical archives. He told his daughter Emma about the kind aliens who saved Daddy's life. He made sure the story was taught in every military academy, every exploration school. Captain Velnath was demoted to civilian status when he returned home, just as he had expected. But he never regretted his choice. Late at night, he would sometimes play Torres's recording and listen to the humans' promise. He didn't know that 45 years later, that promise would change the fate of his entire species. The Reckoning. Commander Silnara watched her homeworld burn from orbit. The Krell swarm had been attacking for 6 weeks, and the Zephron people were losing badly. Every day brought new disasters. Every night brought more death. Commander, we're receiving final evacuation orders, her communications officer said. His colors were pale with fear, nearly white. All remaining military vessels are to escort the colony ships away from the home system. We're abandoning the homeworld. Silnara felt her colors shift to deep blue, the color of profound grief. Abandoning their homeworld. After 10,000 years of civilization, the Zephrons were becoming refugees in their own galaxy. The Krell had arrived without warning or explanation. Their massive bioships had simply appeared and begun destroying everything. They didn't negotiate. They didn't demand surrender. They just killed. The Zephrons had tried everything: diplomacy, offers of resources, even pleas for mercy. Nothing worked. The problem was simple. The Zephrons were not warriors. They had a small defense force meant for rescue operations and asteroid management, not warfare. They had no battleships, no weapons capable of stopping the Krell. Their entire civilization was built on peace, art, and scientific discovery. Now that peaceful nature was destroying them. Silnara guided her patrol ship toward the massive refugee fleet. Hundreds of vessels crowded together, most of them civilian transports never designed for long journeys. Millions of Zephrons packed inside, carrying whatever possessions they could grab. They were leaving behind homes, museums, libraries, history. Everything their species had built for millennia was being abandoned to the Krell. That evening, Silnara visited her grandfather in the medical ship. Elder Velnath was 98 years old, ancient for a Zephron. He lay in his bed, his colors faded to pale silver with age, but his eyes were still bright and aware. Grandfather, Silnara said, sitting beside him. Tomorrow we evacuate the last refugee ships. The homeworld will be lost. Velnath was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Did the council send messages requesting help? They contacted every species we have relations with, Silnara replied bitterly. Everyone refused. They don't want to anger the Krell. We're alone. Did they contact the humans? Silnara blinked in surprise. The humans? Grandfather, that was decades ago. I learned about the Star Wanderer rescue in history class, but that was before I was born. Why would humans remember us after all this time? Velnath reached under his pillow with a shaking hand. He pulled out an old recording device, one that Silnara recognized from the archives. Because I know something about humans that others don't. They remember. Not the way we remember. They carry their promises across generations. They teach their children to honor the debts of their ancestors. He played the recording. Silnara heard a voice speaking human language translated into Zephron. If the Zephron people ever need help, any help at all, they need only ask. This is my promise, and I will make sure my people honor it. That was Captain Torres, Velnath said. I saved his life 45 years ago. He gave me this promise. I kept it all these years, thinking I would never need it. The council won't authorize contacting them, Silnara said. They've given up on outside help. They think we should just run and hide. Velnath smiled, his colors shifting to warm gold. Then don't ask the council. You're a ship captain. You have access to long-range communications. Send the message yourself. I could be arrested for that. Court-martialed. I was demoted for saving those humans, Velnath said softly. I never regretted it once. Sometimes doing what's right means breaking the rules. Sometimes mercy matters more than regulations. Silnara sat with that thought for a long time. Then she kissed her grandfather's forehead and made her decision. That night, alone in her ship's communication room, Silnara composed her message. She attached her grandfather's recording from Captain Torres. She included current star charts and footage of the Krell attacks. Burning colonies, destroyed ships, desperate refugees. She wrote simply, 45 years ago we helped you. We saved 5 human lives at great cost to ourselves. Do you remember? We need help. Our species is dying. Please. She aimed the transmission toward human space and sent it at maximum power. Then she erased the communication logs so nobody could trace what she had done. Silnara didn't expect an answer. The humans were weeks away. The message might not even reach them. And even if it did, why would they care? 5 humans saved decades ago? Why would an entire species risk war with the Krell for such an old debt? 2 weeks passed. The Krell pressed their attack. More Zephrons died. The refugee fleet grew larger and more desperate. Silnara went about her duties, escorting civilian ships, watching her civilization collapse. On the 14th day, Silnara was on her bridge when alarms started screaming. Commander, massive hyperspace signatures, her sensor officer shouted, his colors flashing red with panic. Multiple contacts. Hundreds of them. The Krell found us. This is the end. Silnara felt her colors drain to white. They had been found. The refugee fleet had no chance. Identify those ships, she ordered, trying to keep her voice steady. The sensor officer worked frantically at his console. Then he looked up, his colors shifting through a rainbow of confusion. Commander, those aren't Krell signatures. The energy patterns are completely different. I'm checking the database. These signatures. Commander, these are human ships. How many? Silnara whispered. Still counting. Over 300 vessels. Military cruisers, cargo haulers, private ships, everything. They're all broadcasting the same message. What message? The officer's colors shifted to brilliant gold, the color of joy and wonder. They're saying, we remember. The Zephrons are under our protection. The debt is paid. Silnara ran to the observation window. She could see them now, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Ship after ship after ship, all bearing the blue and green emblem of Earth. Massive battleships. Fast destroyers. Hospital ships. Support vessels. Hundreds of ships and more arriving every moment. They came. Across 45 years and countless light years of space, they remembered and they came. Silnara grabbed her communicator with shaking hands. Give me Elder Velnath. He needs to know. Grandfather, you were right. The humans remembered. They all came. In his medical bed, Velnath heard the news and his colors blazed bright gold for the first time in years. He had been right about humans. They were strange, sometimes violent, often confusing. But they were also loyal beyond measure. They kept their promises across generations. And now the Krell were about to learn what it meant to threaten humanity's friends. The largest human ship moved to the front of the formation. A voice came across all frequencies, speaking in perfect Zephron. This is Admiral Emma Torres of the Terran Defense Fleet. You saved my father's life 45 years ago. Humanity does not forget its debts. We are here. And we will not let you fall. Emma Torres. The daughter of Captain David Torres, now commanding humanity's response. She had grown up hearing the story of the Zephron rescue. She had made it her life's mission to honor her father's promise. Within hours, human ships had formed a defensive perimeter around the Zephron refugee fleet. The Krell, expecting easy prey, suddenly faced an entirely new enemy. An enemy that fought with precision, creativity, and absolute determination. The humans didn't just fight. They coordinated with Zephron forces, sharing technology and tactics. They evacuated wounded Zephrons to their hospital ships. They provided supplies, medicine, and hope. And most importantly, they refused to retreat. The battle for Zephron space lasted 3 months. It was brutal and costly. Dozens of human ships were destroyed. Thousands of humans died defending a species most had never even met. But they never wavered. Every Terran captain had learned the story of the Star Wanderer. Every human child knew about Captain Velnatha's sacrifice. This wasn't just a battle. It was a promise being kept. Finally, the Krell withdrew. They had never encountered resistance like this. They had never faced an enemy that would sacrifice so much for another species. The humans had shown them something the Krell couldn't understand. Loyalty that transcended species, that spanned generations, that turned strangers into family. When the battle was over, Admiral Torres met with Commander Silnara aboard the flagship. The two women stood together, exhausted but alive. Why? Silnara asked. You lost thousands of people. Dozens of ships. For a debt 45 years old. For 5 humans saved by people most of you never knew. Why? Emma Torres smiled. Because humanity remembers its friends. My father taught me that. He made me promise that if the Zephrons ever needed us, we would come. So when your message arrived, I didn't hesitate. I put out the call and every Terran captain answered. Not because they had to. Because they wanted to. Because that's who we are. She pulled out an old recording device, the same one her father had given to Velnath so long ago. Your grandfather kept this safe for 45 years. He believed in my father's promise when he had no reason to. Now we've kept that promise. The debt is paid. Silnara's colors shifted through 1,000 shades of emotion. No, she said softly. Now we owe you a debt. One that we will remember. One that we will teach our children and our children's children. The Zephrons will not forget what humanity did for us. Emma Torres smiled. Then I guess we'll just have to keep saving each other. That's what friends do. The story of the Zephron rescue and the human response spread throughout the galaxy. Other species learned a crucial lesson. Humanity remembered its debts, both good and bad. Those who showed kindness to humans would find friends who would cross the stars to help them. Those who harmed humanity's friends would face consequences that lasted generations. Captain Velnath lived to see his homeworld liberated. He died peacefully at the age of 103, his colors bright gold, knowing that his choice 45 years ago had saved his entire species. His last words were about mercy, about how sometimes breaking the rules was the right thing to do. And somewhere in the Terran archives, marked as sacred and permanent, the promise of Captain David Torres was preserved forever. We will remember. We will come. No matter how far. No matter the cost. Humanity had kept that promise. And the galaxy would never forget. The end.